And now for the last part, which is tackling narrative compre questions. So this is one of the most common ones. Explain how the expression is effective. Now, what is effective? Okay, effectiveness is basically the combination of two things. Firstly, how the purpose was achieved, and secondly, what was the technique used to achieve that purpose. Okay, so for instance, see this water bottle. A water bottle can be effective because it's achieved its purpose, which is containing water for potability. How does it do that? It does this by using a durable-like material, okay, for the body, and attaching a handle for ease of carrying. In this case, you can even say there's a nozzle here for you to drink easily. Okay, so that is how this water bottle is effective. Okay, notice that it has to be explained thoroughly, including the purpose and then the technique. Okay, so same thing for expressions. Okay, you saw this in your June holiday homework, which is Commonwealth secondary paper. How is the phrase discolored monsters effective in describing the rocks at the bottom of the sea? So step 1, what is the purpose? What is the writer trying to achieve? And secondly, what technique does he use to achieve this? Okay, so if we were to do it step by step, okay, looking at discolored monsters, what kind of feeling do you get? Okay, monsters itself will make you feel a bit scared. Okay, so the writer has achieved his purpose of making you feel scared. Okay, he made the rocks seem eerie, frightening, sinister. Okay, that was his purpose. So the technique that he uses this, okay, so you break it up. Always explain whatever is within these magic quotation marks. Explain it fully. Okay, so let's talk about discolored first. Discolored is different from like faded, dull, because those just suggest something that's old. But discolored suggests decay, disease. It's not supposed to be this color. Okay, there's this sinister feel to it. Monsters are of course frightening. Okay, so by combining this, you have basically effectively explained why the expression is effective. Okay, so it should read something like this. The phrase is effective as discolored monsters suggests disease or decay as well as something frightening, therefore creating the effect that the rocks are sinister. Okay, so you see technique, purpose. It can be in any order, technique, then purpose, or purpose, then technique, but in any case, both must be present. Okay, I repeat, please explain the words in quote marks fully. Okay, moving on. Next one, also a very common question. Explain how the writer makes the scene blank. Okay, whatever adjective there is. Support your answer with 3 details from the text. Now, which structure do you take? Okay, looking at this question. Is it A? Number 1, give a general explanation. Okay, because it says explanation, right? And then list 3 supporting details and then afterwards link it back to the question. So this one? Or is it B? List a supporting detail and then explain it, which links back to the question. Then give another set and another set. So total 3 sets. Okay, because they asked for 3 details. Now structure C. You list the 3 supporting details first and then afterwards explain all of them. Okay, and then you link back to the question. Which one is correct? Now, if you answered B, you are absolutely right. Okay, I know the question structure is explain and then support, but Cambridge has shown that the model answer is always a detail, explain, a detail, explain, a detail, explain. 3 sets of these. It is the same in literature. Evidence and explanation are married. They will never ever separate. Okay, so here, the detail, do you need to actually identify the literary technique? Yes, you can. You can say the writer uses a simile of as hot as the sun to depict how warm the weather was. Okay, something like that, for instance. You can identify the literary technique, but that is not absolutely necessary. What we want to do is for you to pick out that supporting detail. That's the skill we want to look at. Okay, so 3 sets. Please always link back to the question. You can list it and then you explain. It shows that it was really warm, but you don't link back to the weather or whatever the question was asking, then you don't get a mark. Okay, always link back to the question. Very important. Okay, for instance, how does the writer convey the boy's fearfulness? Okay, then you see in the passage, dark shadows loomed in the dusk, lurching towards him. How do you pick out, this as an evidence? Okay, so I'm going to pick out dark shadows, looming perhaps. Okay, so the detail here is the presence of dark shadows that loom is sinister, okay, then I explain, because they are indistinct yet menacing in their size. This is the explanation. Okay, and therefore, link back to question, this evokes fear in the boy. Okay, so when I am changing the grammar, I will use square brackets and I always use single quotation marks. Okay, so remember, evidence, explanation, link back to question. Now, how are you going to explain lurching towards him? Okay, this is a bit different. You will need to use the same format, which is evidence, explain it, and then link it back to your question. Okay. Now, the last one, okay, you will see this in every single paper, a flowchart. Now, the flowchart will ask you to determine something like mood, atmosphere, tone, perhaps sometimes emotions, okay. Now, there are certain steps, okay. Think of a flowchart as a beauty contest. Alright, so for instance, four of your classmates come out for a beauty contest. Okay, let's say they're all guys and it's like a manhunt competition. So there's Mr. Personality, Mr. Intelligent, Mr. Handsome, and Mr. Charming. Okay, so how do you give the prizes to these four? Okay, firstly, you will need to know what is the exact definition of each prize, correct? Okay, once you know what is Mr. Personality, for instance, then you have a clearer idea of what kind of traits you should look for that you can assign this prize to. But that's not all, okay? The second step is, what is the difference between these prizes? For instance, what's the difference between Mr. Personality and Mr. Charming? Alright, you need to distinguish the fine differences very, very carefully. And then after that, you look at the contestants carefully and you look at the dominant quality in each of them. Okay, some contestants may have 2 characteristics or more if they're really lucky. Okay, they may be handsome, charming, intelligent, and they've got a great personality. Okay, but you can't give everything to one guy. Okay, let's say it's a contest where everybody has to win something. So in that case, you've got to compare and contrast. Okay, so look at guy A and B. Which one has more of a personality? Then you will give that to him. Okay, likewise for the other prizes. Alright, sometimes it's not final. So you may think that this guy deserves Mr. Handsome at first, but he really is Mr. Intelligent. Another guy can get the handsome prize. Okay, because it suits better that way. Same thing. When you look at the flowchart, okay, there will be guiding words for you. Look at each word carefully and write down their definitions. Get a better idea of what they stand for. Afterwards, examine the words carefully. Okay, if they are similar, for instance, let's see, excited and ecstatic. What's the difference between the two? Okay, it's not always obvious at first glance. So determine what's the difference, then write it down. Okay, make sure you've got a very clear idea of which belongs to which. And then reread the paragraph stated. Look for the dominant quality in each of them. Okay, one important thing to note, okay, please do not be tricked by the intensity of the emotion or tone. For instance, okay, a paragraph could be about, let's say, skydiving. Okay, so maybe in this sentence, in this paragraph, the first sentence talks about the excitement of skydiving. But then the parachute opens and then the second, third, and fourth sentence talk about the tranquility of parachuting down. Which one do you choose? What's the dominant quality? Of course, it is the second, third, and fourth lines, okay, because that is the main part of the paragraph. Don't be fooled by how intensely they describe the excitement or sadness or whatever there is in that paragraph. Okay, always look for the dominant quality, meaning the majority of the paragraph, what is the feeling there? Okay, and then lastly, match the suitable words to each paragraph and then shuffle as necessary. I always suggest that you do this in pencil first, same for editing, because you might have to cancel out and rewrite a few times and that will look very messy. Okay, so yeah, so that's about it. These are the kinds of common narrative questions you might come across. And the next thing I'm going to do is a practice paper. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video.